Hey, it's Jason, and I wanted to kick this off in this group with a bit of a story before I dive into everything I've promised to share here. Story goes back, and this is like all the way, I believe, to like 2011, 2012. And it's where there's a mother who's been kind of looking around the web. Her daughter is running into a bit of an issue, and she wants to hire a hypnotist to help her daughter out with it. And our first conversation was kind of funny because she began the chat by going, I don't even know if this is something that hypnosis would actually help with, but my daughter's so convinced that this will help her out. So even if it's not something you could do, could you just kind of like pretend? Because maybe there's like some placebo stuff to this. And I then have the moment of having to explain to the mother that, well, actually, yes, I've seen a bunch of people over the years who, to put it into a simple category, they're picky eaters. And you'd be surprised that the majority of them actually are adults. They're running into some health challenges. They're pre-diabetic, and here comes this need to kind of take back control of the eating. So yes, I have seen children for this, and the benefit is children respond a lot faster. So fast forward the story, and this was kind of fun because her daughter would only eat yellow foods, which surprisingly wasn't too much of a problem because, like, this little 7-year-old girl loved yellow squash. My kids aren't really that picky eaters and they won't touch that, but she loved it. She ate bananas. The mother was funny where she says, I don't think chicken is yellow, but Caroline thinks the chicken's yellow. So she's eating protein, vegetables, fruits, and, there's no health concerns, but as she's 7 years old, she's starting to do sleepovers with friends for like overnight stays, and it's now posing a challenge. So even this 7-year-old girl is there going, this is getting old, help me out in changing this one. So we work together, and I give her a bit of a disclaimer, even before we begin, that Caroline, I'm going to tell you, I've worked with a bunch of people for helping them to become less picky eaters, and I don't want to brag, but this is a category that everyone's seen success with. So you're in great shape here. I just do like to give a warning, though. By the time we're done, you're going to be more adventurous with foods. You're going to discover things that you like that you previously thought you didn't like before. Though a warning, by the time we're done, there still will be some foods you don't like. And that's okay. I'm a rather adventurous eater. I travel around quite a bit for the speaking that I do with my training business. And sometimes I'm in a different country and there's something I've never had before, and I'll try it out just to see what it is. And in spite of all of that, I don't like mushrooms. It's not an allergy. I don't even think they're gross. I just don't care for them. And it's not like I'm going to freak out if there's mushrooms in my dish. My wife loves them, so I'll pick them out and give them to her. So again, you might like mushrooms. Yet I just want to get this out of the way that by the time we're done, there might be some things that you don't like. There's just going to be less of them. Make sense? She smiles big. This is the kid. I know this is going out to an audience right now that's mostly international. We used to have a restaurant in the States called Old Country Buffet. Was it good? Nope. There was a lot of it, though. And she and her mom go out to eat that night after our first appointment. And I mean, she's this little thing with a notepad, taking notes, a little bit of everything. Like the manager eventually comes over and goes, hey, what's going on? And little girl, big smile, I got hypnotized to be less of a picky eater. And she's trying all these different things. And this is the kid who gave me some sass in our second appointment going, and guess what? I like mushrooms. I'm better at this than you are. I got an update. Some of you have heard me tell parts of this story before. This is now 11 years ago. She's now gone into culinary arts to become a chef. And I wanted to open this up. I'm Jason Linett, everybody, and wanted to pop on here as promised and do a bit of an informal Q&A. And I'm going to kind of take the lead in the first couple of bits here to talk about hypnosis, to talk about business. But let's kind of take a bit of time here and unravel what we just did in the first 3.5 minutes here. I came on and I talked to all of you as if we were having a one-to-one conversation. I didn't pop on here and say, this is the Smart Institute of Hypnosis, and we can help you with a variety of issues. I didn't have, what's the metaphor here? What's the right clinical term? I didn't have the steel rod shoved up my butt trying to present myself as something that I'm not. So as we go into, there's the opening, as we go into everything I'm about to share with you here is a bit of an overview in terms of what's capable in your business, as well as a few refinements to make this better. I'm going to put it all through the perspective of be human. And admittedly, I'm about to show you the exact strategies that are working to run in my business right now and have worked for a bunch of years, and yes, have been proven to work in other hypnotist businesses all around the world. Because when you understand the psychology of the sales journey from curious shopper to satisfied buyer, you start to realize it's almost identical to the journey from stuck in the problem to now living in the solution. So the reality is, sales is noble as long as we are solving someone's problem. And people do business with people. People do business with the people that they've actually created a connection with, which is why I popped on here and just opened with a story to bring you into the world, show you some of who I am, and embed the results inside of the story that, hey, this hypnosis thing actually helps people. And oftentimes, too, the results that people create go far beyond even what we initially thought to be possible. So even before I get into some of the business strategy here, here's a question to start asking your clients. Let me share this with you in the context of a stop smoking client. So one last question before we begin. Up until now, this has been like the biggest problem in your life. And this has been that big thing that's out in front of you. And how do I get over it? How do I get through it? And like, this is every reason we're here today, right? Yeah. Okay, so let me just ask a question from a different angle so I see where to point where we're going today. What happens for you when we take this up until now big, impossible task and shrink it down small and put it behind you? Really, what happens when you see that this quitting smoking thing we're doing today is not about quit smoking, but it's instead this first step of a much bigger journey? Where do you want this to take you? Let's make this less about what you're getting rid of and more of where you're going. What's this the first step of? And all of a sudden now, you're engaging in a real human conversation with people. I'll do this in the session. I'll do this over the call before we begin. And you're seeing right now, this is my office. My living room is a couple of yards that way. Home office, I do everything online these days. Tell better stories, connect with people, sell them into the result, sell them into the next step, sell them into the journey. And again, be yourself. So the disclaimer to what I'm about to share with you is it's my responsibility to give you at times the almost insane attention to detail behind what I do and why we've proven it to work and why we've made it work in other businesses around the world. But on top of that too, I can do that from a safe position. And there's no arrogance behind this statement because you can't do it the exact single way, the way that I've done it. You can't because you shouldn't. You need to make it your own. You're going to have your own stories. You're going to have your own models of the world. You're going to have your own opinions. You're going to have your own ways of doing things. You're going to have your own little funny objects on the wall behind you, which may illustrate a bit of your character and who you are. That is the movie poster of The Music Man. I worked in professional theater backstage for like 6 years running before burning out beautifully. And yes, that's Mel Brooks' Spaceballs, which mathematically speaking is a better movie than all the Star Wars movies combined. Because it took one movie for the character to realize classic hero's journey. I already had all the resources inside of me that I needed. Wizard of Oz, The Odyssey, Kung Fu Panda. It's a classic nature of the story. Let me kick this off first of all, though, right, by sending out a huge congratulations to Krissa Marie Bowman for not only sharing her results, but more importantly, showing everyone here that these things are possible. I haven't done a check-in yet, by the way. If you all can hear me all right, we just changed out a microphone setting. Just drop me an okay in the comments down below. That way I know the volume of this is okay. I'm doing this from a platform where I have a little bit better control over sharing the screen, which is where I'm going to be a little bit more in teaching mode, but you can drop questions and other things in the chat down below, in the comments down below. As a heads up too, my goal is to give you as much specific value and actionable content that I can at this point in the next 49 minutes because, well, this shouldn't be a rarity. I'm one of the few people who's teaching exactly what's working right now. As in, I got a client session in 50 minutes now, and he's going to get my attention too. Oh, cool. Jennifer clicked the link. Woohoo. It says okay. Thank you. Yeah, if you look up above, there's a weird eCam live link. It doesn't make you buy anything, but what it does is it prevents this issue. Okay, where it shows Facebook user. I'm all right with that, but it makes this even better and more interactive. Back to Chris and Marie. Yeah, celebrating that moment. And I encourage all of you, step into a place of shared gratitude. And what I mean by that, and in some way this is going to reference some things I'll talk about too. If you're one of those people who puts up a block around money, who puts up this almost either jealousy or negative thinking around people who are successful, it might be some of the reason why things, at least in your business, are not yet taking off the way that you would like them to. I'll give you a quick example of something, and I did not intend this to be a win in terms of a sale, but I ran a free event back in December last year. And the way the event was shaped was everyone could sign up for the event for free. However, there was an option to get what we called the VIP upgrade, which is where the people who went through the 5-day free event could get the replays, could get a few bonus videos, and then a bonus training and plus a one-to-one consulting time. And like 700 people signed up for the free event. Like maybe 60 or so did the VIP thing for $97. And the shape of the event, well, I'll tell you the moment that defines it. I had one person who reached out, and out of piles of positive feedback, here was one message that said, "I want you to know I did not appreciate paying for an event just to be sold to." And as a wise philosopher once said, hold my earrings. I dipped into a polite place, but also a bit of a nothing to lose mindset to respond to this person with a personal video. Hey, just to politely respond to you. This was a free event of which less than 10% of the people signed up for the paid upgrade to get access to the event. And during basically 5 days, 60 minutes a day, 300 minutes total, I set a stopwatch when I gave an offer to join one of my programs during the presentation to make sure the offer was less than 10 minutes. And a few things. One, you didn't pay for the VIP upgrade. Therefore, you did not pay for an event to be sold to. You joined an event absolutely for free. Second of all, I shared 300 minutes of content, of which only 10 was an invite to join a paid program. And if you're basing your experience only off of those 10 minutes rather than the other 290, and you're telling yourself the story that because someone made an offer to get more, that's bad, I would only ask the question, is this part of the reason why things are not going as well in your business as you would like them to? I've looked you up. Clearly you're skilled at what you do, and yet it seems you're telling yourself a story which respectfully, if I'm wrong, tell me, but respectfully, you're throwing blame on me as part of your own internal dialogue. I did not intend this to be the result, but he responded going, send me an invoice, I'm signing up for your program now. So I'd say celebrate people's successes. As you celebrate someone else's success, I'm generally not a law of attraction person, but as you celebrate someone else's success, you're telling yourself the story that it's okay. And here's a quote to share with all of you. The quality and the quantity of the impact that you create in people's lives is directly proportionate to the quality and the quantity of the offers that you make in your marketplace. So you want to make it rain in your hypnosis business? You want to bring in more clients? Make it even easier for people to find you. Let me give you the play-by-play of exactly what Chris and Marie shared in that post. There's a segment of my training called the Velvet Rope Strategy. And hey, show is better than tell. Where's my button for this? Picture in picture. There we go. Yeah, there we go. Awesome. And I'm in the corner. Let's see if I can move this. Oh, yeah, that's fun. This is why I wanted to use this software, because I've got more control over staying on camera as we're broadcasting out. Someone give me oh, hey, Elizabeth. Good to see you here. Oh, wait, so there it is. Ooh, what a respectful hold my hoops story. Yeah, I need to use that one more often. If you all can see my website here as well as me on camera, just give me a thumbs up just in the commentary there. But what Krissa Marie was referring to, and I'll share the dialogue that she and I had over the time that we've known each other as well. In full disclosure, she joined programs of mine that I offer for sale, which is why I share that disclaimer in the details up above. Couple of thoughts here. The issue that often happens inside of a hypnosis business, and this is a good problem to have. I've become a fan of this new term of champagne problems. Here's a good champagne problem. Too many people are contacting you. Too many people are calling you, but just because they have a phone, just because they have an email address, just because they have a pulse, doesn't mean they're a qualified shopper for what you do. So we ran into a genuine problem in the shape of my business, which was Virginia Hypnosis opened up in November of 2009 in Northern Virginia. By the way, I'm down in Florida here in the U.S., so there's clearly some updates to the story. Yet over time, the referral sources, the strategies like I'm about to highlight step by step and show you, so you've got some real actionable takeaways out of this time together today rather than just inspirational stories. I don't want to just hype you up and go, rah, rah. I want to give you stuff you can put into motion today. Ran into a problem, a champagne problem. Too many people were calling. However, some of those calls were, yeah, how does this work? Or, can I bring my friends so that way you can't make me do weird things with the hypnosis? Which clearly there's some like pre-talk stuff that had to be accomplished. Here's a quote. Could someone play scribe for me here just because I can't type into the chat? And it's a little bit longer of a quote. Yeah, we'll just see how we do with this. Someone play scribe. If not, I'll swoop in after this stream and after my client session and drop this. Here's the basic idea of it. I'll send you a video that's going to answer the questions you're asking, plus the ones you haven't yet thought to ask. Can I just call it out? That sentence right there doubled the size of my business from like 2013 onward. I'll send you a video that'll answer your questions, plus the ones you haven't yet thought to ask. And the strategy now becomes, in the 21st century, the reality is you are a content producer first that happens to provide a product or a service. So the origin of, what I'm sharing here is that I would get these calls, and step number one was to start to produce educational material, videos on YouTube, things on my website. I'll show you a few here in a moment that help to answer some of those questions before they got to me. This helped to reduce the number of calls coming in that were not as qualified, helped to increase the efficacy of my time. Hey, if you're part-time at this, you don't want to spend the entire day sitting around the computer. Oh, Elizabeth, thank you so much. That's right. I'll send you a video that'll answer your questions you're asking, plus the ones you haven't yet thought to ask. Thank you. Thank you. So I started to produce more content. This created this snowball effect as people could find more of what I did and saw that, okay, this is the person to go to. Let's define that in simpler terms. They began to sell themselves into my own services before I could invite them to get through the sale. Still, we had a problem, a champagne problem to call it right. Too many people were calling. And as your business grows, let's share some marketing talk here, you reach a place where you need to scale. S-C-A-L-E, scale. You either can scale, which is a way of going out to market and reaching more people at a higher value. You can either scale with people or you can scale with technology. And up until the last year, I'd always scaled with technology. Rather than having someone else answer my calls for me, I'd ask myself, how can I better condition this person before they get on a phone call with me in such a way that by the time we're on the call, most of the questions have been answered and we can just have a conversation and respectfully just say, when would you like to get started? Or if you want to get fancy. Now, When would you like to get started? And the word now is embedded in there on purpose. Language is fun. So that was the shape of this. And this is what began and over time morphed into what we now call the velvet rope strategy. Let's go back to the picture in picture, which is lesson number 1. Websites are confusing. Most of what I see many of you do on social media is confusing. Stop selling hypnosis. Stop selling results. Sell the next step. And to the comment here that nobody is calling, this is what I'm talking about right now in terms of now clarifying that offer. So your website acts like the funnel to bring in people who are now qualified to have the conversation. So let's see. We're still running this website. We're still rebuilding it right now because I now live in Florida, and we've taken the client service as part of what I do out of this company and moved it under Work Smart Hypnosis in the move. But if you go through this site, just to highlight something first of all, on every page, we'll get this to load. My computer's only ever slow in streaming when I'm broadcasting, so talk amongst yourselves. I'll describe what you're about to see as this is loading. This is, let me go off the sub-install for this one. This should speed it up. Let me actually change this link here. Ignore this nerdy stuff at the top. We're archiving the original website as we're rebuilding. There we go. And now we're on track. This website only sells one thing. Click here to schedule time to get on a call with me. So what we're doing here is rather than having the business that people call you and ask you questions, instead, they are going to what we call an application funnel where they answer a couple of questions and then they pick a time specifically on your calendar for you to call them. Right there alone, we have accomplished an incredible dynamic shift in the shape of your business. It is never again that your clients are interviewing you to see if you're a fit for what they need. It's instead now that you're the one interviewing them to see if they're a fit for the process, the service that you provide. Right there alone, your value has increased. So back to this, no matter where you go on the website, every single video, even sentences in the middle of paragraphs, call out, this is a process that begins with you. So click one of the links on this page to schedule a specific time that I'll call you back guaranteed, saving you on the frustration of phone tag. And if you scroll through it, by the way, just a little design thing, if you have a website with big paragraphs, no one's reading them. I'm sure they're amazing. I'm sure you're sharing some wonderful insights and thoughts in those paragraphs, but people don't read big block paragraphs these days on the web. So just here's a bonus for this time. I wasn't planning on teaching this. Look at how I've painted with text. And all we did was there's some things that are in a different color. There's some things that are underlined. There's a slightly bigger font in a dark black. There's a quote that's in italics. And again, we're painting with words. What that actually does is you're always selling the next step. So think about an email. Subject line of an email sells the next step as to whether or not they open it. The first sentence of the email sells the next step as to whether or not you actually keep reading the message. Opening the video with a story a little while ago sells you on the next step that, okay, this is a person who cares about their clients and isn't just out to sell a program to hypnotist. And again, because the window of time was open, that's why I'm going to be out of here in like 37 minutes. Now that we're watching the clock here. So the benefit becomes I am looking at winning one very simple, consistent, what we call in marketing, call to action. In fact, if we scroll down further, here's what to do next. This process begins with you. Get started now. Click here to discover how to schedule your hypnotic strategy session. Ooh, we made it a thing. To set a plan for your success. If you go through any page on this site, and we'll talk about the structure of this here in a bit. Anyone ever see the episode of The Simpsons where Mr. Burns accidentally became radioactive and they thought he was an alien? My designer created this image, and just because I laughed at the Simpsons reference in my head, I went, we're using it. But again, the video sells the next step of schedule time to speak with me. Scroll down, scroll down, scroll down. And then what to do next? There's the offer once again. We're even on the homepage. So story behind this real quick. Story goes that I had someone reach out to me and she was trying to dig up in her business. First of all, it was impossible to find her contact information. She didn't tell you what the next step was. And because her offer was hidden, which is one of the big lessons here, that this strategy that Chris and Marie referenced and helped to triple the size of her business as a result of, we focused on one specific call to action, and we pointed every part of the site to that one specific offer. This way, at the end of engaging with the material, there's no guesswork. Most of your websites are confusing. Most of your videos are confusing. Define the one clear outcome that you want them to take and let that be your focus. The story I was telling a moment ago was where, in order to dig up in her business, rather than simplify the one core offer she wished to share with people, she kept adding more. Download this free audio, download this free course, purchase this audio program, purchase this, which I'm all about, adding in multiple streams of communication. I'll define what I mean by that a little bit later when I show you some cool resources here. And the problem is it made it even more confusing. What I'd encourage the majority of you to do, especially in the early stages, pick one specific offer, and by doing so, point the people to that. Let me load this up real quick, not to go to the page real quick that I did mention, but it's where, we've put it's higher now. We've put more than 1,500 people through this specific velvet rope strategy training and just showed that here's how it works. Hey, Bozina, you and I go back. This is Jason Linett, Greatest Hits. Good to have you, though. But the benefit is I'm doing this here on this platform, so you're going to be able to watch the replay on your own time all the way back to the beginning. Even those of you in Australia, that it's 3 a.m. for at the time right now. So simplify your offer. Think about what would happen differently. I know some of you, Elizabeth, who's here, does really great stuff on, Facebook Lives and Instagram Lives and other platforms too. And to go into those situations and you already have a well-defined outcome, isn't that a lovely little hypnotic term that most of us should know? The well-defined outcome is I'm going to share something of value and point them where to go to find out more. And in the shape of my business for so many years, it was about bringing them into this one clear defined opportunity of no matter where you were, get started now, brought you here. Now, I've got to talk about this in slightly different terms for a moment, because what this is, in full disclosure, is sort of the upgraded version that Chris and Marie Bowman is now using, but I'll talk you through the basics of this. Don't let technology be a burden. And I will give I've got an internal dialogue sometimes. I'm like, well, I want to be the person who offers value, and then for those who see value, invite them to see the next step. Look up above this velvet rope thing. It's one segment of the bigger hypnotic business systems training. Yet to show the quality of education and help people get a quick win, we spun that off as its own $27 course. So if what I'm about to say sounds complicated, or if you're one of those people who wants to go into the limiting belief that, well, I'm not a tech person, I don't know how to do that. Well, I teach you how. There's one tech training that I say, watch it all the way through first, just watch it, then go back to the beginning and build it in real time with me. Software thing. We take care of our people. Yay! Happy hearts. Cool. So there's calendar scheduling softwares that are out there. I use Calendly. There's also Acuity. There's Schedule Once. There's all of them out there. So pick one. Not one is better than the other. I just found Calendly to be the easiest for my purposes. It links up to your calendar and will only show times available when you're actually available. And what now happens is, and let me show you a lesson of this, by the way, we'll switch over here to the screen share. But classically, the thing to note is we're guiding people through a questionnaire to then give them access to our calendar. And here's the part that's going to drive a spike of fear in some of your brains, by the way. It would be my story. I went from getting close to 60 to 80 calls a week to then only about 12 to 15. But to use very proven statistics and numbers I can share, we went from closing just about a quarter of them to damn near every single one. So the more questions you ask, the less compliance you'll have. There's a story that illustrates this. one of the offices I used to have in Virginia before moving to the very last one, the penultimate office I had in Virginia. I'm moving out, and the guy next door goes, "Hey, you're that hypno guy," which is the official certified title, by the way. If your certification doesn't say hypno boy, reach out and find out. And "You're the hypno guy, right? Yeah. How much is the stop smoking?" I politely respond. You're going to hear the formula inside of this. "Oh, well, I'm in the process of moving out, but hey, I'm Virginia Hypnosis. That's just virginiahypnosis.com. And there's a quick video on the smoking page that explains everything." He asks, "How long's the video?" I say, "Only about 10 minutes. He goes, "I'm not going to watch a 10-minute video." I go, "If you're not going to watch a 10-minute video, you're probably not going to be successful with me." He smiles and he goes, "Oh, you're good." True story. It's like 9 months later and he calls up. He finally calls. He goes, "Two things. I work in refinancing mortgages, and I ripped off your strategy, Jason. I put a video on my site for people to pre-qualify themselves, and now we're getting half the calls but closing them faster. So that's a double whammy of a success there. And since I've now been more profitable, now can you tell me how the stop smoking works and how much it's going to cost me?" So we went through the story. But do you see what's different? There's a principle in my hypnosis training that compliance precedes suggestibility. I need you following a set of steps before I can give you suggestions. Anthony Jacquin says the same things. Know the difference between instructions and suggestions. If you have any experience in stage hypnosis, maybe I'm doing a finger magnets thing with the audience, and here's the 90% of the crowd who's doing it with me, even if it's a lecture demo. And what's the clinical term? Here's this little asshole over here who's swatting the hands of their friend, and when it's time for me to call a volunteer, can you guess whose face I drew a red X on? If he's not going to follow my steps out there. So this whole side dialogue around resistant clients or problem clients, I don't get those people. They don't reach me because those are the ones who aren't willing to answer a couple of questions. And in my training, I give you the questions we found to be the most effective. What's your goal? What have you done so far to address this? What's been standing in the way? And others of that nature, where it's really about getting them to engage. And yes, we're hypnotists, getting them to future pace themselves into the outcome, even before they speak with me. Isn't that nice? Yeah. So this is the formula of the velvet rope, which again, the nature of this is every offer on the site brings them to one single place. Even to the point, my voicemail for my office. "Hey, it's Jason Linett from Virginia Hypnosis, and for a faster response, please head over to virginiahypnosis.com/call, CALL. That's where you can schedule a specific time that I will call you back guaranteed, which will save you on the frustration of phone tag. You are welcome to leave a voicemail here, though a small warning given the volume of calls we receive. Not every message can be responded to, which is why we've made this convenient link available over at virginiahypnosis.com/call. Got to call something out. Some of you just said, that won't work where I live. Some of you may have just said, my people need more of a hands-on approach. Again, we've put more than 1,500 people through this training. We've got people all around the world making it work. It's like the opening of this presentation. It's about sweeping you in, being human, sincerely caring, and inviting to take the next step. We've seen it work everywhere. And on the subject of automation, by the way, you ever promised to send somebody something by email and then you forgot? Yeah, we don't run into that problem because we use robots to make it happen. And buckle up for the expense. Calendly, the one that I recommend, is free. Or give them $10 US a month and then it becomes much better. But start with free. So yeah, doesn't have to break the bank to get up and running with this. So that's the nature where now every offer to work with me one-to-one has to go through this system. Now, clearly, there are some people who don't do computers. Yeah, of course there are. But would you also accept the reality that the people most willing to pay you for a professional service are also the people that are most likely to also have an email address and a computer? So again, you can't be a match for every single person. Hell, there's some people who don't have cell phones. Focus your messaging on the audience you wish to speak to and don't trick yourself out of doing the stuff I'm sharing with you, which again has worked universally around the world, by finding the rare exceptions. So just keep that in mind, because I've already seen that commentary in other categories. Always look at something and ask, how do I make that work better? Rather than standing off to the side and pointing and going, that doesn't work. How do I make it work better? So every offer on the site goes to that. Now, a bit of an update, and this goes into the teaching lesson as to, see if I can make those hands. This goes to the teaching lesson as to whether or not you put your pricing on your website. The official answer is it depends. If you want more people reaching out to you, then you don't put the pricing and you funnel them through something like I'm sharing with you here. If you're fully booked out and maximized and you can't handle more business, stick the pricing on the website so only people who are already agreeing that that's a value they're willing to pay reach out to you. So the answer as to pricing on the website, yes or no, really depends on where you are in the nature of your business. Yet by bringing that down, here's what happened in my world. It allowed me to only spend my time with people on the phone who already saw the value in what I did and were already willing to have a conversation around it. Were willing to open up and accept and admit things that they would like to change. I'm only now talking to people who are motivated, who are willing to follow my instructions, and yes, willing to pay for my services. That's the category that I choose to focus my time on. And by respectfully dropping off that bottom percentile of people who hadn't done the research or were just kind of curious. I don't know if the term tire kickers is international, so I'll hold back from that one. But those less motivated, less ready to jump in people, they have ways to interact with me on the website and other content around the web. And then, readiness is all, that's when they're able to jump in and actually book that call with me. So we went from this many calls to this many calls, but the difference was we're booking nearly every single one at that point. That at its core is velvet rope strategy. To give some credit where it's due, Krissa, Marie, and I, yes, awesome. We are international here because there are tire kickers also in the UK. Hey, wherever there's tires, there's kickers. So the other side of this is champagne problems. Know where you are in the shape of your business, because now velvet rope is where I say start. Start and maximize the free strategy first. Then upgrade. Because now, and this is what Chris has talked about as well, on my platform right now, they're on this page where there's this big old red button. And no, red does not match the color scheme of the website or the amount of purple we stick on everything else that is Work Smart Hypnosis. Face masks as well. But the red is intentional because it makes your eye go right to it. Click here to learn about programs, pricing, and scheduling. This is, forgive the terminology, forgive the language, maximize what you see already first. This is what we have to call, quote, next level shit, which is where now they go into an automated webinar. I do not recommend start with this. Maximize the other strategy first. And I'll walk you through the user experience, though by all means, run it. Go to virginiahypnosis.com/call and see it in real time. What this is now is they watch a webinar that is intentionally a little too long. And for full transparency, I'll give you two sides of it. At the end of my webinar, it actually lands the statement that, hey, this is a process that begins with you. Here's the issue we had with too many calls. And here's our pricing. And I'll tell you directly, I'm $1,200 US for a single stop smoking appointment. It's not a session, it's an adventure. It's 2.5 hours. And I see them once. And then everything else is my hypnotic transformation program, which is 6 sessions, 5,000. And many of those people then book on for additional work after that. I hit that pricing on that presentation at about the 32-minute mark. They've got to stick around to see it. Then to book with me, and I share these numbers not to boast or brag, but to show you there's steps towards the scaling formula. At the end of the presentation, they pay a deposit to get on a call with me. And assuming the call goes as we know it will, that becomes a deposit toward your program, or in the rare chance that it's not a fit, no problem. It takes me 2 or 3 clicks to refund your money in full while we're on that call. I hate hypey marketing. So here comes the massive asterisk. Jason's got a big old asterisk with this next statement. I'm at 100% booking for the people who have paid the deposit to be my clients. The asterisk is, I very clearly, let's go back to this, have narrowed down my audiences to being mostly quit smoking and business confidence related issues these days. There's a few other services here, but this is my main focus. So I don't work with anything and everything these days. And sometimes it's a scope of practice thing as well. And I go, hey, you know what? I think I could help you with those voices in your head telling you to do some pretty insane things, your words. But I think I've got a friend who'd be better at that. And here comes the psychiatrist. So the people that we have not booked have been out of my choosing. So out of their choosing, we're batting 100 on this one. Actually, in baseball, I think batting 100 means you fail 9 times out of 10. I don't follow sports games. So don't let this example that I'm talking through right now be overload. But that right there, this is where Krista Marie and I kind of bonded over time. Because I said to her a while ago, and this is part of her story of tripling the business, hey, you've got incredible feedback. You've got incredible testimonials. And you're juggling the fact of being the single mom and you've had to move a couple of times. Hey, let's have your people pay you a deposit. And I think she's made, if you're here right now, let me know. I think she's just made the deposit $20. And it's just that little bit of a barrier that makes it so only the serious people get to you. And again, hypnosis industry could use a good hypnotist sometime. If you're just joining now and saying that won't work where I live or my people won't like that, we've seen this thing work everywhere. It's all about tonality. It's all about intention. Let's just call this out. The fact that you're still watching this presentation with me here today clearly means that running a better hypnosis business is important to you. Otherwise, you wouldn't be here. And that's part of why I make my training programs available to people. Well, let's take a moment and unpack the language structure of what I just did there. In NLP terms, it's the complex equivalence. And that's the same language pattern that I use to get the scheduling and even get the deposit. Which would be, I told you some of my videos are intentionally a little longer and indulgent to only get the diehards, the people who are sold on me and not just the commodity of hypnotist. I'm selling them directly on Work with Jason Linett. So it's from that, the fact that you're still watching this video clearly means that this change is important to you. Otherwise, you still wouldn't be here. Though given the volume of inquiries that we get, and to make sure that your time is being respected, that's part of why we've decided to employ a deposit to get on this call with me. Now, assuming the call goes as we know it will, that becomes a deposit towards your program, or in the rare chance it's not for you, no problem. That is fully refunded before we wrap up the call. So that's a risk reversal strategy where now there's a nothing to lose moment. But again, the people who are willing to watch the video, the people who are willing to answer the questions, the people who are willing to pay the deposit are very likely the people who are going to follow all your instructions. And guess what? I'm getting the best results in my hypnosis business than I've ever seen before as a result of this. So again, that's Chris's story in terms of putting that into motion. That's the core of nailing one specific offer. So the biggest takeaway I'd say is stop confusing your clients. Define the one clear outcome that you want them to take, where now you become the hub that points them where to go. Yay, you're here. Yes, yes, yes. I'll give you the metaphor I teach this through, and I'll make this brief because I can tell this story way too long sometimes. I used to have a relatively persistent issue with lower back pain, and it wasn't my back's fault. It was my fault. I was weak. I was clumsy. I was overweight. But I did figure out the trick. If I went to a massage therapist and they beat me up in that area, pain went away. And so I'd go to the massage therapy place and they'd give me a menu. Do you want shiatsu? Do you want deep tissue? Do you want athletic? I'm like, here. And bring me to the room. They'd start on my feet. I'm like, that's nice. But genuinely, if you just kind of beat up this area for like 15 minutes, I'll still pay for the full hour and I'll tip. I mean, thanks, but that's all I need. So stop confusing your potential clients with decisions they're not yet qualified to make. I got my start into all this by doing stage hypnosis. I don't mean for the story to be linguistic, kung fu, yet I'm setting up at a college show one time and the student, he's 22 years old, he's an adult, says, "Oh, you're the hypno guy." Remember the title? He goes, I'm not going to volunteer for your show. And I just turn around and I ask, have you ever seen one of these shows before? No. Well, if you've never seen it before, how do you know you don't want to be a part of it? Tell you what, I'm not going to ask you to make any decisions here, and clearly I need to go set up. But I'm going to do something fun and interactive with the entire audience involving your hands. And it's not hypnosis, but it kind of shows you what it's like. And when your fingers touch, they will. When they touch, that's when I want you to make the decision as to whether or not you want to be up there. I mean, let's not even bring the hypnosis show into this conversation. Just seems like a better way to live your life, doesn't it? And he kind of goes, yeah. I do the finger magnets for the crowd. His was the first hand up in the air. The lesson of that story, from someone who knows the importance of not unpacking metaphors for therapeutic change, the lesson of the story is don't ask people to make decisions they're not yet qualified. This is the problem with call this number to book your appointment. This is the problem with a direct payment link on your website asking them to sign up. Hypnosis is a category word, just like massage, just like nutrition, just like exercise. Let the funnel be selling the next step of connecting with you, where now you're the one who can listen and say, here's what you need. Here's the grind my gears moment. This price for 3 sessions, this price for 6 sessions, this price for 9 sessions. How the hell are they supposed to make that decision when they've never done this before? Instead, you become the appropriate bottleneck of your business to talk only with the people who are qualified to make the decision, and then you present to say, here's how we're going to work together. I'm telling you, that's what we've seen work time and time again. This is not just, here's what I made work. Let's share one other thing here too. Do you have to pick a niche market? And I know we're international. I can't say niche because we like niche better because niche rhymes with rich. But and fun, colorful words. Do you have to become the specialist? Do you have to pick one specific thing and take it from someone who has respectfully sat on the fence for 15 years running and since the initial year of Virginia Hypnosis ran it as a 6-figure business just from client income alone? And these days, I have a training business. I have another brand teaching hypnotic concepts to entrepreneurs. I have different feet in different areas, but still to this day, the client business, one-to-one hypnotherapy like most of us are here for, is still its own 6-figure business. Here's the foundation of what we found to be the most effective. This is not theory. This is not armchair philosophy. This is what we've proven to work in my business and many others around the world too. You want to respectfully, there's a fun word, respectfully smack your audience in the face right away with what they're looking for. So ask yourself, what are your big 2 or big 3 services? Mine are quit smoking, business confidence, and yes, one of mine is hypnosis training. That's a drop down because clearly I have other programs. But these are my big 2 for my client services. Scroll down. Let's not hide them. See if I can move myself. Uh-oh. I just clicked the wrong thing. No, I'm on the wrong screen here. I can do this. There we go. So once again, there's quit smoking, learn hypnosis, business confidence. I'm not hiding my offer. I am making it so ridiculously simple for you to see the big things that I'm willing to work with. Rip off this navigation bar because this is the money-making work smart system for hypnosis website navigation bars. Yours are going to be different. You know, yours might be, I know Chris and Marie does fertility. That might be one of hers. I do business confidence. And yes, I have an other. Do not do this. Do not have the single page with the laundry list of everything because that sucks. And that doesn't sell. Instead, here's the reality. Stop smoking. When you're on the stop smoking page, clearly this is the guy who's the expert on working with people for stop smoking. When you're on the business confidence page, clearly this is the guy who's the expert at business confidence. When you're on the weight loss page, clearly this is the guy who's the expert on that. When you're on the break bad habits page, this is the guy who clearly is the expert at that. Google loves this. And just a pro tip while I'm short on time here, make sure your website URLs actually are the terms that people are looking for to find you. Otherwise, they're not going to track you down. Did you also see that every page of the site has a video? Every part of what you do is about building rapport through the screen, feeling familiar, being human, inviting them to take the next step. But this navigation bar, quit smoking, business confidence, yours are going to be different. Where you need to, make them a drop down. I have different hypnosis training programs. You can find them all on this page as well. I've got a few others. You see, I don't work with kids anymore. I got my start working with kids and teenagers. Now that I have my own, respectfully, I don't want to see yours. But then I've got an Explore tab, which, look at this. There's a Meet Jason Linett page. It's a chance to meet me even before you come into the office or work with me online. And fine wood paneling behind me. Here's a fun one. 7 questions to ask a hypnotist. Here's a good ace in the hole. Hey, it sounds like you're still doing a bit of research, and I find that people often make the mistake of making their decision based on price and location alone. I've written an article that's about the 7 most important questions you could ask about hiring a hypnotist. Could I share that with you and check in with you Monday? How's that? Educating, informing, guiding to the next step. And top right, get started. That's going to look familiar. Always goes to the same location in terms of making the offer. But this is how you can appropriately sit on the fence and not have to pick out a specialty. But even so, and I'll call it out because I know them, they're all my friends as well, the people in this industry who are specialists in one specific thing will also work with clients for other issues as well. Same here. In fact, this is sometimes a fun process on the phone call. I got a guy right now who issue is relationships and afraid of making the approach and asking this girl for a date. And I said, can I just call something out? And you're on a website that's all about increasing confidence in business. And clearly the issue that you'd like to resolve isn't on my site at all. So walk me through it. What was the thought process to reach out to me? And he goes, well, it's all basically an extension of selling. I just need to sell myself better. I'm like, I'm in. And we're a bunch of sessions in, and he's doing fantastic here. So again, everything here is pointing towards the strategy call. That at its core is Velvet Rope. You can see the link up above if you want to get the step-by-step training to see exactly what that is. My whole reason why I teach business is because it's a fair statement. It's not just lip service. The more we're all successful, the more we're all successful. As there's more of you out there helping your clients, it's spreading the good word in terms of what we do and makes it so as my clients find me, they're hearing this global dialogue that what we do is so effective. And that's where I say to all of you, how dare you not make it easy for people to find you? How dare you not attach an appropriate professional fee for this? Because we all know this at this point, that the person you give it away for free to probably doesn't put it to use, doesn't take it as seriously. I got to say, it's a different dialogue as the client is reaching out and they only know me as the hypnotist and they're paying a professional fee, and they can look around that web, and this is part of my language, that clearly this is not just another practitioner, this is the expert who's guiding the industry as well. And as I've got a few moments here, I'll show you how I can help you make it faster and easier, which, full disclosure, as I'm looking at a bunch of the people who are here with us right now, a lot of people watching this are full members of this community. This is Hypnotic Business Systems. Let me hit the button. That works better. Hypnotic Business Systems is where I've shared the step-by-steps of not only what I've done, but also how we've made it work with other businesses all around the world. And I'll highlight a few modules here inside because, first of all, and I'll leave out who it was, but I was getting a message the other day about, now that I'm earning all this money, now that I'm earning all this money, I need to see how to take care of it and hold on to it better. Hey, we put this into the training last year. All about money management, all about the business foundations, how to structure your business, because every government in the world rewards you to run your business like a business. And it's not that I'm telling you to pay the least amount of taxes possible. It's that I'm telling you, ask the right questions so you're not giving them an unintended raise or a tip that they don't deserve. Niche to get rich. There's principles and strategies like I've shared so far. I'm logged in as an admin. That's all this weird stuff up here. This section here, all about niching down, pricing strategies. And sometimes it is the right words in the right order. Hey, you've got the person now on the call. I didn't have time to get into all of this because I wanted to share two things: the value of the application funnel, what I call Velvet Rope, as well as using that as the system to then call out specialties on your website. 500K phone process, when I published it first, I had sold more than $500,000 of individual client income. We're not talking groups. We're not talking trainings to other hypnotists. I'm talking about total income from one-to-one clients. This is not a script. It's a process walking you through step by step what to say, what to ask, answers to common questions. When you see the page that I shared with you all earlier up above, this one, just to highlight it, here's Karen Gray talking about the results in her business. She keeps talking about having a guideline for direct selling better. Here's the ones, let's see, Joni talking about it. Jason talking about getting more than 70 five-star reviews on Google. But the consistency is, again, using the abilities to reach more people and knowing the right words to actually book the high-value programs. So this is called Hypnotic Business Systems because it could work if you go through it all in linear fashion, or you could dive directly in. And in fact, Velvet Rope is also linked up above. That's sort of the $27 standalone preview. Yet I mentioned the VIP page. You see this graphic? The sunglasses and the gold chains. Yeah. VIP paid is where I'm teaching the paid deposit strategy, and my goal is to help you to get there faster and easier, which is where the entire webinar that I use to book my clients in an automatic fashion, the entire transcription of that is shared. You could use it as a script, just plug your name in rather than mine. The slide deck is there for you to model. Those are graphics I had to buy, so you might be out $20 on some sort of stock photo thing to make your own, but don't get in trouble using images you don't have permission to. But again, this is my style. Here's what I've tested to work. Here, use mine. And it's giving permissions to actually make that happen. I'll show a few other things inside of here. What also put my business on the map was one other offer of the group session machine going out and doing group self-hypnosis workshops. So giving people an outstanding experience, and at the end saying, kind of like this presentation here, you can take everything that I've talked about and go off and not quite reinvent the wheel, but try to finesse the wheel on your own. And it would take you a lot longer, and it might be more difficult than it needs to be, but then again, I've done it for you. And here, use mine is kind of the format of Hypnotic Business Systems. So I would run those group format workshops, teach something of value, and it was a very non-salesy offer at the end of it to say, you can make use of what I've shared with you and see some great results with practice, though I imagine some of you want to get there faster and easier, which is why, yes, I am available to work with you one-to-one. We've made that work just as well, if not better, in Zoom sessions as well. So again, cut the dialogue of, yeah, but that won't work for me because around the world, in person, online, we have a guy in a rural part of New Zealand. I didn't know those words could be put together. His county has not seen a single COVID case because they're that remote. He's like, yeah, it sure is nice to be out here now. So a couple of other things. I mentioned you got to be using your client's words. So here's our section teaching search engine optimization. And to scroll through here, we actually published the historical search records of the top words that your clients are using to find your websites. Guessing sucks. Here's what's working now. By the way, quick fun fact. The word hypnotherapy only appears once in the top 12, and only in the context of becoming one. So if you're clinging to the word hypnotherapy, you need to bow down to the gods of Google and use the words your clients are looking for. I got 2 minutes before I got to meet with my client. So I'd say look through this on here, but I'll show you one more bit to get you up and running faster, which is there are email campaigns you have permission to use. All the videos that show you the next step languaging for the Velvet Rope are transcribed for you in Hypnotic Business Systems. I don't tend to be someone who there's products you can reproduce with your name on it as well. And I tend to not be someone who goes direct to offer on stuff like this, but let's just call it out. To scroll down on this page, I will give you a transparent invitation, which is hypnoticbusinesssystems.com. Don't go to this website and buy it, because it's on here for $18.95. The link up above, if you scroll down, and this page is like all testimonials, this is the page after a webinar, which makes it either one-time payment of $14.95, so like $400 off, or I stand behind what I teach and I believe in making it easy for people. This link on the site up above in the comments makes it 12 months of $129. 129 US, which is roughly, I think, a little above 90 British pounds. But really, for less than what many of us are asking for an individual client session, it's kind of the keys to the kingdom to let this all happen easier. Plus, on top of that, let me check one more thing to make sure I don't have anything embarrassing uh, in my stream right now on the Facebook. That's right, the Facebook, which would be, yeah, here we go. Here's our private community. Oh, it's not letting me share that one screen. We have a private Facebook group where there's people asking questions and getting feedback as well. Every business group I'm a member of says don't do long-term payment plans. People flake on them. We take good care of people. We get results, and that's how we do this. In full disclosure, price is going up March 1st. So this is the system that a lot of people, even in this community, are already members of as well. We've got more than 1,000 people around the world inside of it. I'm tired of seeing people struggle. And yes, I put out a lot of free stuff on my podcast or streams like this, yet as well, to get the full access makes it a lot easier. So I answered a lot of the questions in what was themed as a Q&A myself. So let's keep this dialogue going. If you've got questions about your business, drop them in the comments down below. If you've got questions specifically about this program, well, step one, look at the links above and explore those first, then ask in this community, or if you like to be a little bit more private, send me a message directly and we'll kind of chat from there. Yet I wanted to pop on and give you some of the play-by-play as to how Chris and Marie Bowman's not the only one who has the story of more than tripling the business over time, that it's about gathering the right strategies. We all would like to say that business is business, but we're a wacky little category with wacky little considerations. And to get the exact languaging that to date, as a result of more than 15 years of seeing clients, has sold multiple millions of dollars of individual client sessions in an industry where some people will tell you, can't be done. No, you got to do groups. You got to do trainings. Well, I do that too. But the client session itself is in the multiples now, correlated over all the years. Collated, that's the right word.